Hello and welcome to the Business of Blockchain. I'm Nisa Amoyals. This special episode focused on a blockchain use case is sponsored by Bitdeer. Today we are talking about AI and blockchain and how it relates to the pet industry. One company using these technologies to store, manage, and utilize animal data is Petastic. We are joined by Carlos Herrera, CEO and founder. Welcome, Carlos.
Hi, how are you? Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks for coming. AI and blockchain affect every industry. What is the future of pet care?
Certainly for pet care, there is a need for personalization. Traditionally, pet care has been very generalized. We think of dog food, cat food, but we don't think specifically about our dog. I happen to have a Shih Tzu, and our Shih Tzu requires certain needs that are specific to her qualities. And that's the sort of use case that blockchain in particular can fix. And that really has to do with the ownership of your pet's data. So that's how we intend to enable or utilize blockchain to enable personalized pet care at world scale.
So what problems are you solving? What is the inefficiency right now?
So for pet parents, it really is about just having lack of digital assets. You know, we live in a very digital world, but when it comes to the pet world, we end up with paper, right? Everything is handwritten or ends up in stovepiped databases that as pet owners, we don't have access to. And that leads to inefficiencies in having your pet having a digital footprint. That digital footprint is what in the modern world allows us to have personalized consumer experiences. And that is not available in the pet space. So that's the problem we're trying to fix. But also for brands who are providing products and services, they don't know what pet owners exist, right? Because there is no digital footprint out there to target them. So we're also enabling the digital bedrock to connect people directly with product and service providers.
Can you give us an example of how this works?
Certainly. Imagine, I'll go back to our Shih Tzu. So our Shih Tzu was bred in the Himalayas, in particular in the Tibetan side. And there she was bred with chicken as a protein. And because of that, that's the protein that she's most compatible with. So ensuring that we buy that protein for her as the primary protein in her food is essential to reducing allergies and making sure that she can digest things properly. So that type of information is available out there, but it takes a long time to figure out. And it's also, there's a huge universe of available foods. So pruning down to the foods that are most compatible is what the system does for you. So instead of having to prune through, imagine walking into a Petco and looking at the shelves of food, what we provide is we provide you the 5 foods that are most compatible. And we ask the most important question is, what's your budget? Right? Because there's foods at every price point that are great. So it's just a matter of finding the right fit, not just for your pet's qualities, but for your budgetary needs.
So what specific issues can you address with cats?
Just like dogs, cats have very specific and particular needs. One that always comes to mind is urinary tract infections. As a cat owner, you always deal with this. And what Petastic will then do is provide you with guidance to overcome that. So whether it comes to changing your diet or facilitating you to connect to a veterinarian to get a prescription, we intend to help you achieve that more efficiently than you would otherwise do it with today's tools.
So what about the pet ID system? How does that work?
So underneath this all, the bedrock of data is effectively an open network of pet identifications. So imagine each pet having its own diary. We call this a pet ID. And that diary is effectively a database of your pet's life from beginning to end and beyond. So that way, as your pet goes from puppy to adult to senior, we're able to catalog and collect all that information, and all that information is what we use to deliver personalized pet care. So imagine that at scale with over 1 billion domesticated cats and dogs around the world. That's how we envision enabling personalized pet care at scale with this pet network.
Okay, there's 200 million in the U.S.?
In the U.S., there's roughly 200 million pets. There's more pets than children under the age of 5 now. So you're seeing this trend, or you have been seeing for the past decade, where pet ownership has surpassed human birth rates. So we end up with this scenario now where the main consumer is focusing on their pet's care, and that's how we are targeting our customers, or aligning to our customers, is ensuring that they're being provided the modern quality care that their pet deserves.
So how do you make revenue from that? You're a decentralized platform. How does that work?
So we're a decentralized platform, as you mentioned, and there's two pieces to the system, the ecosystem rather. There's the part that the consumer touches, and there to the consumer, we effectively are a personalized concierge for pet care. So we deliver guidance, we deliver product and services. So we will sell product, we will sell you that bag of food that you could buy at Petco or on Chewy. However, rather than acting as the retailer, we are acting as the marketplace. So that bag of pet food is being sold directly from the brand of food that is selling that, and being delivered directly to that consumer. So it's an efficiency where we collapse that supply chain and connect people to the right product and service, not to any generic product and service. So we generate revenue from selling of pet supplies and pet services, even pet insurance for that matter.
Which we'll talk about, but how does it work with the breeders and the shelters?
So breeders and shelters, to me, are the most impactful entity in the pet space. We consider them the top of the funnel. Without them, there is no pet industry. They do, I call God's work, right? They create this scenario where we can match people with pets to bring to their home. And what we've enabled for them is the ability to basically benefit from the size of the pet industry. Sadly now, a lot of most shelters, rescues, they spend half their time fundraising because they're underfunded. Their operational costs surpass the capital that they have on hand. So they end up spending a lot of time not finding homes for pets, but rather fundraising. Right. So one of the things that's really neat about blockchain is that it's a natural ecosystem that allows incentives for those participants. Well, this ecosystem, the pet ecosystem, already has these participants. They're just not being compensated. So in our system, the revenue that each pet generates for its life, 10, 15 years, is going to be a piece of that is going to be shared back with the shelter or rescue.
Interesting. So with pets, 2% are insured, 30% of claims are denied.
That's right.
So how are you solving for insurance?
It's a very, when it comes to getting a policy, it's a very exhausting process. I call it form exhaustion, meaning you're going to be asked a ton of questions to even activate a policy. And companies that sell pet insurance are burdened with high cost per acquisition, over $150 per customer they acquire, because it takes so much time to acquire that customer. There's cart abandonment issues. In our system, you own your pet's data. It's already captured in your pet ID. So rather than having to do form fills, it's really just a matter of one button activation of that policy. And what we intend to do is have that policy transfer from the shelters to the pet owner. So rather than you having to be burdened with shopping around for a policy, we would just present you with this policy that's already activated that you can inherit. When it comes to denial of a claim, that's the big challenge is there's not a lot of data around what causes or what ailments are aligned with this particular breed. So over time, we intend to fix that problem, but also identify what is most efficient and lower the cost of these premiums and cost of care by ensuring that the whole ecosystem can see what's happening with each particular pet at scale. That ends up being a huge database of information that can be used for actuaries.
And how does AI help with that?
So with AI, you can effectively take this huge bedrock of data that's out there and start pruning and finding the most important, valuable information. So on top of our ecosystem that's built on blockchain, we have a layer of machine learning that is out there looking at the data and you could ask it questions. It'll provide you a response very efficiently, but it'll provide you responses on real truth data. So rather than guessing, or rather than looking at statistics from a report that you purchased from a marketing group that built some database 10 years ago, you're looking at real-time data that you can utilize. So it's a more efficient way, and it's just the fastest and I would say most accurate way to price an asset and its liabilities.
So what's easier to train, a pet or an AI model?
A pet. Certainly, training an AI model requires proprietary data, right? So we've spent a lot of time developing our own data that we feed into the model to train. Now ensuring that what we're training is going to enable someone at home to train their pet is a very powerful thing, because what we do now is very scattered and fragmented, but imagine having your own trainer right at your fingertips that is not training a dog, but training your dog and its qualities, and having its behavioral history. A lot of behavioral history about your dog specifically is given to you in notes by the trainer and breeder. So it's not only about training a dog, it's about training your dog. And that requires context, and that context is all fed into the model that is going to provide you guidance. So all that comes into play. So I think it's a lot of work up front, but at scale creates major efficiencies and I think great user experiences for pet parents.
Thank you so much, Carlos.
Thank you.
That's it for today's edition of the Business of Blockchain. This special report highlighting a blockchain use case was sponsored by Bitzier. I'm Nisa Amoyles at the New York Stock Exchange.